In this show, we'll break down each of the 6 wildcard games, making our picks against the spread. We'll also get the help of a special experts panel, and it's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the fantasy football consultants.
Michael, you're not wearing the FFC garb. I see you're wearing the Raiders. I don't know if that's dress code. How long are you gonna wear it until the Raiders are out of the playoffs?
Yeah, I haven't changed my underwear or my jersey since the win, so I'm gonna plan to keep doing that. So hopefully for the rest of the world, the Bengals win this next game.
Yeah, I guess you're scheduled to be back in FFC garb next week.
Hey, look, I understand what they say is misery loves company, so I understand.
Yeah, and as a Seahawks fan, it's been nothing but miserable this year. Anyway, Michael, let's get right into it. We have a massive 6 games. They're all really exciting, great matchups, and let's get into it and introduce our experts panel. So, Michael, we don't have to just rely on you and me. We have 4 experts. And when we say experts, these aren't just people we just pulled off the street. These are members of our FFC community who earned their way onto this show. So welcome to all of you guys to the show. Michael, let's go right into it. Take us through. We'll do it chronologically. We'll start on Saturday.
All right, so yeah, we're starting with my favorite game of the week. Hopeful that my Raiders can bounce back after a Sunday night game going into Saturday. We've got the Raiders in Cincinnati against the Bengals. Bengals 6.5-point favorites. As you may remember, they lost to the Bengals. Raiders lost 32-13 in week 11. So let's go to our panel here.
And this is going against the spread. So 6.5 points. What team do you think will reveal? Oh, look at that. Oh, okay.
What?
You got 4 of 2, Michael. What are you complaining about? All right. So, Brett, why the Bengals?
All right. First off, thanks for having me, guys. It's great. I've been following you guys for about 2 years now, ever since I got into fantasy football. So thanks for having me on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So now going to the game, Bengals and Raiders. The thing that I really like about the Bengals here, 6.5 points. First off, the Raiders just had a incredibly tiring and exhausting game on Sunday Night Football. So I think first off, the Bengals who rested all their players, they're going to be fully rested. They're basically off a bye week in a sense. And the Raiders, after that exhausting game, I think the Bengals are going to come in guns a-blazing. Joe Burrow has looked awesome the last few weeks, especially.
David, what do you think? Is there anything you would add to that? I see you were the only sole other Bengal pick.
First of all, I'd just like to say sorry, Michael, because I know they're your team, and I actually am a huge Carr fan. I think Burrow is the real deal. I've been a fan of him for a long time now. Burrow has a lot of weapons at his disposal. I see the Bengals firing on all cylinders right now.
Well, I hear the arguments for the Bengals, as Brett said. Well, we're all rested. The Raiders flying cross country. The weather is not going to be pleasant for a California team. Michael, do you think that they can overcome it? I picked the Raiders, even though I kind of think Bengals will win. I just thought 6.5 points was way too many points.
Yeah, no, I think these guys are spot on. We really did bring on some experts here. They hit the right points. I'm a huge fan of Joe Burrow as well. Watched him in college at LSU. Really impressed with what he has been able to do. To me, what the Raiders have on their side is actually a little bit of experience. It's been a few years, yeah. But Joe Burrow doesn't have that experience in the NFL. We know that he's had it in college and he's been at the big stage there. But there is a little bit of that potential for some jitters. I actually think, to some extent, coming off of really what was a rest week for the Bengals as well, could potentially hurt them. I'm nervous for the injuries that the Raiders just saw and some of the things that both Brett and David mentioned. But I really like the Raiders to not only cover here, but to find a way to win.
Oh, what happened between you and when we filmed the show last time?
I'm on my meds. No, it's I think that they are going to show some real grit like they have all season long.
Okay.
There's one problem for the Bengals. David Carr stated at the beginning of the season, he doesn't care. He's going to win. Wait a minute, Carr. John Gruden was fired. What are you going to do now? I don't care. He went out and won. Carr, you guys, you can either play the Chiefs or the Bengals. I don't care. And then they chose at the last minute, they wanted the Bengals. So when a quarterback that doesn't care chooses to go out and play the Bengals, you got a little bit of a problem on your hands because he's deciding he wants that team and not the other team. So he knows he's got matchups that he can take advantage of.
Well, sounds good. Well, the Raiders are coming in hot. Winners of 4 straight. Laura, anything to add before we go to the next game?
Well, the one thing I really like about the Raiders is their kicker. And I think that he's going to make a big difference on Saturday. I know the weather is going to be cold, but I don't think it's going to be particularly windy, and I don't think it's going to be raining. And I just really like Carlson.
And that brings us to game 2, which is really game 3 of the year for Buffalo and New England. This time again in Buffalo, but guess what happened last time they played in Buffalo? New England showed everybody that you don't actually have to pass the ball to win a football game in the NFL, for those who watched that game. But Buffalo looks like they've been the stronger team of late. So everyone at once, let's go ahead and put up what we think is going to be the outcome in terms of the odds. It looks like we have 4 going with the Bills and 2 going the Patriots. Let's go ahead and start with the Bills here.
The key is, to me, I think, the weather. Yes, it's going to be cold, but it's going to be 10-mile-per-hour winds instead of 40-mile-per-hour winds. So the Bills are going to be able to throw the ball. And if I think the Bills are going to score, the Bills are going to cover, because get the Patriots with their rookie QB in a situation where they have to pass, it's not going to be good. I think the Bills are going to win much more than 4.5 points.
Dave, what do you think about that?
I agree with that completely. I basically think if Buffalo can stop the run, they can stop New England's playoff run. That's what it lays for me. I just wanted to say on a side note that there was a little thing called a Survivor Series pool that we were doing with you guys. And I did a couple of picks in before week 9, just so I could have Buffalo in week 9 against Jacksonville. So they let me down. And if Buffalo happens to let me down on this, no hard feelings on that one either.
Darn Jacksonville, they did it to me with the Colts, so I understand.
Well, I will lead things off to, even though I went with the Bills, to defend the Patriots, and then we'll see if we get one added comment as well. So for me, it's just about Bill Belichick. I mean, you got to think that guy has more experience than anyone finding a way to stymie teams, which is what he did in Buffalo earlier this year. I kind of agree with the comment that Eric said. I'm pretty sure Buffalo wins this game, and if they do so, I think they cover the spread. See, Laura, do you want to maybe say a word about it as well?
Yeah, the reason I like New England to keep it close is because I love their offensive line play, and Belichick's defense is outstanding. So Buffalo's been up and down all year, and they can be extremely inconsistent, and they also don't have much of a running game. So I look for it to be close. I think if the Bills can win, they can go all the way.
And Scott, do you want to add something real quick there?
Yeah, Buffalo did discover something these past 2 weeks. It's called Devin Singletary. And that's the one thing Belichick does not have an answer for.
All right, Eric. Well, let's move to you and talk about maybe the next game on the slate.
All right, on Sunday, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending champion Buccaneers, are 8.5-point favorites over Philadelphia. Well, let's put it up on the screen. Okay, we once again. So the thing that I note here is I've agreed with you 3 times, Michael, and that's scary. So we have $5 here. So I just would like to make a quick comment, and then I'll throw it to you guys. Folks, Philadelphia is not a good football team. I think they're the worst team in the playoffs, even worse than the Steelers. Do you know, yes, you say that they've got 9 wins, Eric. Do you know that they have only beaten one team that has more than 7 wins? It was the Saints, who started Trevor Siemian at quarterback and didn't have Alvin Kamara. Who are the other 8 teams they beat? Listen to this roster: the Falcons, the Panthers, the Lions, the Broncos, the Jets, the Giants, and Washington twice. I think Brady does a really good job of piling on in the playoffs. And I know that Brown is out, and I know that Godwin is out, but Brady just is able to pick anybody up in his passing. I think Gronk's going to be huge. That's what my take is. So let's hear from Dave.
I couldn't agree with you more. I kind of think that the Steelers might be a little bit worse than the Eagles, but at the same time, I think Hurts is a great fantasy quarterback. But when you look at it realistically, he's only thrown 16 touchdown passes this whole year. And you can't beat Tampa Bay without getting a touchdown, without throwing a touchdown. It's not going to happen. So I just don't see it happening. And quite plain and simple, it's Brady in the playoffs. What are we expecting here?
Yeah, and the one thing that Philadelphia does well is run the ball. And I know that the Tampa Bay run defense has gotten worse as the season has gone on, but they're still top 5. They're very tough against the run. So, Michael, what is your take?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and defend the Eagles a little bit here, even though I don't disagree that they are one of the weaker teams coming in. I agree with what you just said about who they beat this year. In terms of, what they did during the regular season, but they are a little bit hot. You can ignore this Cowboys game, which, really they rested their starters. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, has looked a little bit poor other than the end of this last game, and partly because of those injuries. I'm really impressed with Sirianni. I think he's a great coach. I think the Eagles are on their way up. It may be a little bit too much to handle in terms of beating the Bucs, but can they handle this spread? I think there's a chance. It really depends on game script, but to me, it's pretty clear Bucs win this game.
Yeah, but you picked the Bucs to cover the spread.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that there was a defense there. We can't, if we don't pick correctly, someone's going to come after us.
All right. Well, I think Laura, didn't you have you were the lone one on the panel who picked the Eagles? Tell us about it.
I did. I picked the Eagles. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they're going to make it close. And I know, Eric, you went through the litany of who the Eagles beat, but don't forget that they beat Washington twice and Washington beat Tampa Bay. So I think that not only having Godwin and Brown not there, but I think Fournette not being there makes a bit of a difference for the offense for Tampa Bay. And there are a couple of people who've had roles lately for the Eagles, like Boston Scott and Richard Rodgers, who I think show promise in the passing game for Hurts to be able to dump the ball down to either a second tight end or to a running back.
Hey, one last point, Eric, and we do need to move on, but these teams played in week 6, and it was a closer game, and it was when the Eagles were on the downslide and the Bucs were still playing pretty well. And so, if you were to take those two, teams and adjust for things that have happened since, it should stay a close game.
Yeah, and Laura mentioned about Leonard Fournette. My best guess is he is going to play in this game. If that's not the case, then I am less excited about the Bucs covering this spread. Let's move on to the next game. It is the Dallas Cowboys at home, 3-point favorites over the San Francisco 49ers. Of the 6 wildcard games, this is the only game in which the two teams have not played this year. So I think you have two teams who are going to get after it. High scoring game. Let's go to the panel, find out where everybody stands. So far, Michael's been perfectly correct because he's been agreeing with me. Is why. Okay. I just was going to quickly say that the Niners have won 4 of their last 5, including road wins against the Rams and the Bengals. So let's, Scott, what's your take on this? I believe you agreed with Michael and I with the Niners?
Yeah. Basically, I look at the Niners as kind of a Tampa Bay light, and the fact that Tampa Bay usually runs 2 to 3 tight ends, whereas for Niners run 1. But Kittle, yeah, you're gonna have a hard time stopping him. And then they also have the running backs and 2 wide receivers. Cowboys, the one team they had the hardest time with was Tampa Bay at the beginning of the season. So once again, it's going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys, especially with that kind of a spread.
I really like that, Scott, because I think the Niners really for the first time have all their players healthy on offense and playing really well. Admittedly, this was really a tough game because I have a lot of respect for the Cowboys. This is the toughest of all the 6 games for me to pick. But in the end, I said I get 3 points because I think it's a toss-up of who's going to win. And I get the 3 points. Michael, you want to chime in before we turn it over to someone on the other side?
Yeah, I think just real quick, I mean, this Niners football team, really impressive what they did, needing to win in LA, down by 17 against a team that, I don't know if you caught the stat, but McVay's never lost a game where he was winning at halftime. And I think that's like 49-0, never lost a game until this last week. And so the Niners, not only showed grit, Garoppolo, who has missed a lot of targets in some key moments, actually, hit those targets when he needed to. I'm really impressed with where the Niners are at. I think they're going to be scary right now, but tough game for them to start out against these pretty impressive Cowboys, both on offense and defense.
All right, we have a lot of Cowboy fans as our friends, so we need to make sure that they are well represented here because we're going to get some hate in the comments. David, defend the Cowboys.
I don't think it's about defending the Cowboys. I think it's about how do you defend them, to be honest with you. They just have so many weapons. And I give nothing but credit to San Francisco. I think they've definitely turned things around. The only thing I don't like about it is that they seem to have gimmick plays every now and then, and they want to use Samuel in different ways. And they just want to do different gimmicks to try and trick the other team. And I just think flat out one-on-one football, I just think Dallas has way too many weapons.
Brett, I want to get you involved here. What are your thoughts? Why do you like the Cowboys to cover the 3 points over San Francisco?
Well, like you said, Eric, this was probably the toughest game for me to pick, but I decided to go with the Cowboys. First thing, I love their offense, just like David said. They got so many weapons. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard. They're missing Michael Gallup now because he tore his ACL, but Cedric Wilson, arguably an upgrade in some cases to Michael Gallup. But then I also just think they're going to be stronger on the defensive side. Micah Parsons has been just an incredible, one of the best rookies I've ever seen, to be quite frank. He's doing everything, being able to cover in the passing game, blitzing, run stopping. He just does it all. Trayvon Diggs, I give him a little bit of flack in my own personal things to some of my friends because he gives up lots of yards, but that guy can come up in big plays, and big plays are how you win playoff games. So I just think their defense is going to be stronger than the Niners defense, and Cowboys are probably going to win by, I think, a touchdown.
Sounds good. Michael, let's go to the next game. Oh, I'm sorry. Laura, did you want to say something quickly?
The other thing I wanted to say is Dallas has such an excellent offensive line, and I think that's going to make a big difference, and I worry about Jimmy Garoppolo's thumb.
Okay.
So that brings us to Sunday night. That's right. The last game is on Monday. We'll talk about maybe some of the implications of that. Sunday night, you got Kansas City hosting Pittsburgh. Eric, I don't have it in front of me. What's the spread? I think it's the biggest one on here.
12.5 point favorites, Kansas City is.
Yeah, wow. So 12.5 point favorites. They have met earlier this year, big blowout by Kansas City not too long ago, but let's reveal before we talk much more. Wow, there you have it.
Almost. I can't
5 of the
believe
6 thinking that 12.5 points is still not enough against Ben Roethlisberger. Yes, when they played the first time Christmas weekend, it was 36-10, not too long ago. But I'm going to go ahead and give the quick chance for the defending. Who's going to defend the Steelers here?
Well, we only have one person, Scott.
Okay. 2 things the Chiefs have trouble with: the run game, and Steelers had the #1 running back in Najee Harris for rookies here. And the fact that this is going to be Big Ben's last hurrah. I think that they're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs outright, but 12.5, that's too much against his competitive spirit. He's going to be fighting it the whole time, and they're going to be close. And if TJ, it's just a sprain, as they're saying, he's going to be introducing himself to Mahomes almost the whole game.
But the one thing you can say is Mike Tomlin has a lot of experience here. And I really am impressed also with Najee Harris. I saw him in high school play. He's been a stud. You saw him come back in that game. I don't think there's a chance they win this game, but I appreciate the commentary.
The one thing I want to start out, because obviously I picked the Chiefs. A funny picture I saw actually earlier today was it was a Chiefs poster that said, "Welcome to Ben Roethlisberger's retirement party at Kansas City." And that's just how I think this game is going to go, because the Steelers, they looked in by just some sort of miracle. They needed a miracle not to tie with Baltimore. They needed a miracle for Jacksonville to dominate Indianapolis and win that game. And then it looked like the Raiders and Chargers were headed to a tie, which would have knocked them out as well. But they kept surviving somehow. And they seem like the most undeserving team. But I think the Chiefs are just going to blow them out. Mahomes, he's been looking really good lately. That offense was struggling at first. They've come on.
This is the game I feel most confident with in picking against the spread. It's the LA Rams, division rivals, facing the Arizona Cardinals. So let's all reveal their 4-point favorites. Oh, do we have? No, almost a clean sweep. No, not on the left side of the screen. So 4-2. I just want to comment a little bit about these Arizona Cardinals. And keep in mind, they were 9-1. The question is, what has happened since then? 3-6. And more importantly, since DeAndre Hopkins went out, they are 1-3 with losses to 3 non-playoff teams. The Lions, can't say that with a straight face. The Lions, and then now I have to have a straight face. The Seahawks and the Colts. So, and I still think this Ram team, come playoffs, has that great defense, a lot of weapons on the offense. So I really like the Rams here. Let me get Dave in here. Dave, you're not going to be able to start it off with, I really agree with you, Eric. So I'm still going to go to you.
I appreciate that. And I don't agree with you, Eric. And this is not a statistical take. This is just a personal, I watch the games every week take. Unfortunately, I just see Stafford as maybe not being the guy to go to just yet. Maybe he's lacking confidence, maybe not, but he kind of wants to push it off on Cooper Kupp to do the thing, maybe let the coach make a few decisions, but I just don't see him being a true leader. On the other take on that one, I also see Coach McVay. I mean, for crying out loud, last weekend he was in the end zone doing a celebration dance with the team. Maybe that's not quite the leadership they're looking for either. And maybe he's more of a fan than a head coach leader. I would like to see the Rams go very far. I think they're lacking in some professionalism there to get it to where it has to go. That being said, I'm not necessarily being Arizona to win the game, but against the spread, I think they're going to keep this really close because I think they're hungry.
All right, Michael, what's your take?
Well, my wife is a huge Rams fan, so I can't pick against them because she watches these videos, and it may be tough if I do that. But you kind of hit it on the head, Eric. I mean, the Rams have been playing relatively well other than the second half of that game, and the Cardinals have not. And I think that the loss of D-Hop, as much as I love Kyler Murray, the loss of D-Hop has been huge. To make it through the playoffs, you got to be well-rounded. You can't just be an offensive team. And I think the Rams have one of the best defense. David, you make a good point about some of the lack of professionalism, which kind of hurt them various times, including in the Super Bowl a few years ago. But this Rams team has so much talent on both sides of the ball. I think they really should go all the way through the playoffs. The only thing that may prevent that from happening is the cold of Green Bay, if that's where they end up having to play, if they win this game.
All right. So what we wanted to do just for fun, we wanted to make our picks for the Super Bowl and who is going to lose the Super Bowl. All right, so this is the team we think that will lose the Super Bowl. Let's reveal. Oh, look at all those different teams. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. All right, well, let's get to the Super Bowl winner. What team do you think will win the Super Bowl? All right, let's reveal. Don't look at this. You're not going to like this, David. Oh my gosh, Michael. we at least we disagreed on one thing. All right, so we're going to hold this tape to see who was right and who was wrong about the Super Bowl picks and winner. I want to especially thank Scott, Laura, Brett, and David for joining us. Not only for their support of the channel, but an excellent job as a part of the expert panel. It isn't easy just to jump on a channel and give their analysis, and you guys did great. Thank you so much. And Michael, you were especially sharp today because you agree with me a lot.
No, this was so much fun, Eric. I love that we had a chance to interact with others. I think they bring, you know, a lot of knowledge and rich analysis. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much to all of you.
All right, until we see you later this week when we break down the FanDuel picks for Wildcard Week. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.